Hi televiewers, you're welcome to Inside the Health World. Happy New Year, happy 2025. It's a pleasure to have the first edition of 2025 this day. And we encourage you, this program is a health program. When we talk about health cuts across, it involves everybody. That is why you are encouraged to watch this program from start to finish. And also, if you have any doubts, you have any question you wish to ask, there is a number on your screen. You just use that number to send us an SMS or through WhatsApp, but do not call during the program. Today we are talking, the topic of today is cancer health disparity. There are a lot of disparities, and in the course of this edition you are going to learn why some things are happening the way they are happening and where they are happening. With us here we have Bonin Weko Nervis, who is a master student in biochemistry, University of Boya. It's a pleasure to have you on set, Nervis.
Thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.
Thank you.
All right, we are just going to go straight into our discussion. First of all, we are talking about cancer, and it's just proper for our viewers to know what is cancer.
Okay. So, good morning, viewers. I'm called Bonike Nevis, a student from the University of Boya studying biochemistry and molecular biology, and it's a pleasure for me to be here. So, when we talk about cancer, cancer in simple terms is a non-communicable disease. That is a disease that is not caused by an infectious agent. It's a non-communicable disease that is as a result of cells growing abnormally. That is, the cells in your body tend to grow abnormally, and this disease results as a genetic factor. It can be genetically inherited, or it can be caused by environmental factors such as exposure to sunlight or use of cosmetics. And it's actually a global health problem today, and cases in the world today is amounted to about 60% cases, like causes of death in the world globally. So,
like you said, it's a global health issue today, because even now, recently, I mean, at first when we're growing, you hardly hear of somebody suffering from cancer. But if you go to the Boya Regional Hospital, there's a ward there, you see so many people with cancer. So it's really a global issue. But this question I wish to ask you, why your niche? Why do you have interest in cancer?
Okay, the reason why I choose to pursue a career in cancer, it's actually a personal loss.
Okay.
Yeah, two personal losses to be precise. When I was in primary 6, I lost my elder brother to liver cancer. And that was a very sad situation in my life, because he was the only person supporting my family, and I was left just with my mom to continue supporting me. But when I got into secondary school, I wasn't really informed about what cancer was, because by now I was just a young person growing up. You just know that, okay, it was just sickness. It's later when I get to secondary school, I discovered he died of liver cancer. Then in secondary school, I think in opposite, I had my classmate. Like, there is this need of Benchi. So she was my Benchi, and her mom died of cervical cancer. And I had to question myself, if these persons are dying, and what is really the cause of their death? I started asking myself a lot of questions, and I found something in me that if I don't pursue a career in that to help other people outside there that are suffering, then I'm not making, I'm not providing a solution. So it's a call for concern for me, and the reasons why I'm pursuing that particular career path is my personal loss, and I want to save other persons that are suffering from that particular disease.
All right, you know that when somebody is having a passion for something and also going in for that thing because of a personal loss, because it's personal, it's different. You really put all your time, your energy to it, and also sorry for your loss. You just mentioned, I'm sorry that I'm bringing it up, that your brother died of liver cancer and your Benji's mom died of cervical cancer. So can you please just tell us the different types of cancer?
Okay, we have basically 6 different types of cancer. The first one is sarcoma, and sarcoma is a kind of cancer that affects particular organs or tissues in the body. And subtypes of sarcoma, we can talk about lung cancer, we can talk about cervical cancer and prostate cancer. Then the other kind of cancer we can talk about is leukemia. Leukemia is another type of cancer that affects the bone cells. That is the bone marrows that are responsible for producing new blood cells in the body. And we also have another kind of cancer which is known as multiple myeloma. Multiple myeloma affects the plasma cells. That is the plasma cells. And the other kind of cancer we will talk about multiple cell myeloma, like I already said. And we also have melanoma. Melanoma affects the skin. Melanoma affects the skin, and most often it's as a result of exposure to ultraviolet radiation, which is the sun, and also the use of cosmetic products. Like, we have a lot of people that are using bleaching agents today that has a lot of effect on their body. And we also have sarcoma. Sarcoma affects the bone tissues. The bone tissues like connective tissues like cartilage and all the rest. And the best example for that is osteocytoma, where it results to a significant increase in the cells of the bone growing abnormally, and it's really a cause for concern. But the most the most prevalent type of cancer in Cameroon is breast cancer and cervical cancer. Those are the most prevalent cases of cancer in Cameroon.
So women are the targets, yeah, or the big
the main victims.
All right. You mentioned something like leukemia. You mentioned the bone, or is it the blood?
Okay, leukemia affects the bone marrow. Like when we talk about bone marrow, we talk about those particular junctions in the body, like to be in a layman language, those particular junctions in the body that are responsible for producing new blood cells. Yeah, because your body needs to be, the cells in your body need to be produced continuously in order to meet up with metabolic processes, because cells have a half-life. A half-life means that there is a certain time in which they are going to die. So these cells need to be produced continuously, and it's at the level of the bone marrow which they are being produced. So when the bone marrow is affected, that is the gene that is responsible for coding of the production of these particular cells, is affected, it results in abnormal cell production. That is, the cells are produced drastically, and when they are produced drastically, it causes a lot of instability at the level of the system. It is different from multiple cell myeloma in the sense that multiple cell myeloma affect plasma cells. These plasma cells are already cells that are existing in the body.
When you talk of plasma, be breaking it down, or we are not used to those words.
Okay, plasma cells in simple terms is just like the red blood cell, that is the matured red blood cells, the matured white blood cells that are already found in our system. These are the plasma cells, and for someone that it's very lame is going to understand that. So when we talk about plasma cells, we talk about these cells that are already existing. While in leukemia, we talk about those that are being produced, that is at the level of the production side, while multiple cell myeloma is at the level of the cell already existing in the system.
All right, thank you for that explanation. Now I'm going to the causes. I know you mentioned something, the one that affects the skin. I just want to know the causes of what causes cancer.
Okay.
Well, especially the breast and cervical cancer that is very common now in our community.
Okay, one of the major causes of cancer we need to understand is the genetic factor which is involved, because there is always a family history associated to cancer. If your mom had breast cancer, automatically you might be a carrier of the gene that is responsible for coding cancer cells. If your father, for example, had prostate cancer, you have maybe the gene that encodes for that particular cancer. So now the first cause which I spoke about was a genetic factor, and this genetic factor now is associated with your lifestyle. If you have your family history, okay, my mom had breast cancer, what you need to do is to go to the hospital. The first thing you need to ensure that you are being screened in order for you to know that you are not, like, your family history is already there. You have to be doing your screening continuously in order for you to be aware that cancer is not yet present in you, because there is already a genetic factor which is present. And if your lifestyle is not good enough, you are going to be prone to developing that particular cancer. And most often what people do is that when they discover that, okay, I have a family history that is associated with cancer, and they don't diagnose it, like in the Western world, they will go to the hospital and they are going to go through some surgical procedures. Going through some surgical procedures where the tissues of the mammary glands are being removed in order to prevent the multiplication of these cells. So I can talk about genetic factor. Then the next thing is environmental factor. Environmental factor is associated with a lot of things like ultraviolet radiation, which I talk about the sun. Like people that are exposed to high ultraviolet rays and their melanin, because melanin has a great vital role to play in our particular system, because it helps to filter the ultraviolet radiation that penetrates our body. So when you alter this melanin which is found on your skin, you tend to see that your skin is going to be exposed to these sun rays to penetrate your skin. And when these sun rays penetrate your skin, it causes what? Reactive oxygen species, to be precise. And these reactive oxygen species are actually oxidizing agents, which are going to cause what? They are going to cause a kind of like a mutation at the level of your gene. There's going to be a mutation at the level of your gene, and when this mutation occurs, cells are going to produce abnormally. They are going to produce abnormally, and these cells are going to multiply, and they are going to have harmful effect. That's where we start talking of melanoma cancer of the skin. We also have cosmetic agents that leads to melanoma. So we also have other factors such as socioeconomic status and lifestyle, like someone that consumes a lot of sugary fruits. If someone that consumes a lot of sugary fruit, and also we have also associated cancer. I'm sorry I did not really mention this in environmental factor. Environmental factor, we can even talk about the food we consume and the water we drink. Today, cancer has been associated to microplastic leaching. Microplastic leaching, like for instance, like like the garbages we throw around, like the plastics people just litter plastic everywhere. And now this plastic, when they stay on the soil for a very long period of time, what happens is that they are being leached. They are going to be converted into microplastics, and you turn to see that you're consuming microplastics, and these microplastics are rich in hydrocarbons such as polypropylene. These polypropylene molecules go and alter the pathway in your system, which can lead to cancer. So we have like cancer has been associated to microplastic leaching, and we also have lifestyle, like I spoke, eating a lot of sugary eating a lot of sugary food and not actually controlling your diet, and also obesity, like people that have a very high body weight. Yes, it's also associated to cancer. So I think those are some of the brief causes of cancer.
Yeah, you just mentioned something. There are two that I'm very particular with. The melanin.
Yes.
Because people don't really know. They don't care. I don't think that they care. There are a lot of things that most especially women do with their body for them to look more beautiful.
Yes.
And then also the littering of plastics. You know, at first or even now, environmentalists will tell you that don't litter plastic because it does not get rotten.
Yes.
It stays there, and it also affects farmers are worried because it affects the soil, they cannot plant. But now you are bringing it up that if it doesn't get rotten, the micro
the plastic is going to be leached. That is, the plastic is going to break down. In order for me to put it in simple terms, it's going to be broken down into smaller plastic, which cannot be seen.
We are going to be taking
but you cannot see it with your naked eyes.
Yeah.
You cannot see it with your naked eyes. What happens is that you're consuming it through water, like this borehole waters that we're drinking all the times and all the days. So it's going to have, it has those particular molecules like polypropylene, which I rightly said, which are going to be causes of cancer, because they'll go and alter a particular sequence in your body that will result in cells becoming carcinogenic. Yeah, to be precise.
All right, thank you very much. And I believe that viewers, you're getting, stop littering plastics. There is a way you dispose of them. People have been taught on how to dispose of these plastics. And also, I didn't hear, maybe the names you use, these ones fall under the lung cancer, which is caused by smoking.
Smoking.
And also I'm particular about the second-hand smoke. There's person who is not smoking and is beside somebody who is smoking.
Okay. Someone that smokes is it's at risk to cancer. But someone that doesn't smoke and is exposed to someone that smokes is also at risk to cancer, because there are specific receptors at the level of the lung cells that are going to respire this particular this smoke that is produced from cigarette. Now, when this person is exposed continuously to someone that smokes, it happens that there is a genetic sequence that is going to be altered, because cancer of the lung is most often associated to smoking and also inhaling or breathing in some particular toxicants, like toxicants, that is toxic substances produced maybe from the industry, like people that work in industries, factories, refinery stations and all the rest. It causes a particular incident in the lung that is going to affect the lung cells, and when these lung cells are affected continuous, that is continuous exposure, the genetic sequence of those lung cells are going to be affected. Now you're going to see people suffering from a lung cancer, which is actually caused by this exposure. It's not just someone that smokes, but someone also that is close to a person that smokes, and also exposure to normal smokes in our house, like this smoke that we use to cook in the normal traditional kitchen. Yeah, it's also responsible in causing cancer. Yes.
You know, many people, they don't know that. You see, at times it's very common now. Somebody will get up, sweep the surroundings, or take papers from the house, take old dresses and come and put in front of the door, and then you're burning. You are not only affecting your household, in short, the whole of that environment is polluted. So these are things that people need to know. Let's go now to the disparities.
Okay, so when we talk about cancer health disparities, it's simply a situation where the society or people in the population are not being given those services for cancer prevention, control, and management. Like, for instance, we can talk about diagnosis. Like, in the context of the sub-Saharan Africa, we need to understand that in 2022, the World Health Organization published that there was a 20 million cases registered cancer, and about 9.7 million deaths were registered. And these cases were projected by the World Health Organization, that in the year 2050 there will be a 70% increase in cancer cases. And this is
Sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah, in the world at large, there will be
Okay.
a 70% increase in cancer cases. And this 70% is going to affect Africa significantly. And now we already know that Africa is affected by other health problems like HIV and AIDS, and we have malaria, which is a cause for concern, onchocerciasis. Onchocerciasis is a normal filaria that a lot of people have rashes on their body. So we have now these particular health issues that are being put into place. Now there is little or no attention which is given to cancer. And now when little or no attention is given to cancer, there is now a disparity. Because why? A lot of people find no interest in focusing in cancer-related researches. Why? Because the other sort of diseases like malaria, for instance, have a lot of funding. I have this friend of mine. Yeah,
I was going there.
yeah, I have this friend of mine. Like, she's an interpreter and a translator. She's in Advanced School of Translation. So I was telling her about my passion for cancer. She was like, "Nevis, why are you going into cancer? Like, malaria is having billions, hundreds of millions, and why are you going into cancer? I would encourage you to go into malaria because malaria already has funding." But in my head, there was this particular echo. Why are you going to be studying malaria when there is already a projection in 2050? There will be a 70% increase, and Africa is already suffering. These other diseases have not yet been controlled. Now we have shortage of specialists when it comes to cancer treatment. We have shortage of research infrastructures, and we even have disparities when it comes to treatment. Like, to be precise, like, most people that can afford chemotherapy and radiotherapy today are the most affluent in the society, because we're already living in a continent where there is a great disparity, like there is a great difference between the rich and the poor. That is, there is about 47%, like 47% of the population in the sub-Saharan Africa are living below the poverty line. This is a call for concern, and this is the major cause for disparity. And we have like insufficient diagnosis, vaccine, and even the screening of it. Like, most often people don't have access to these screening services, and it's also associated to communication. Like, there is poor communication, because doing cancer awareness campaign, like, most people, they don't even give interest to it. And some people in the rural community, because it mostly happen in urban regions where these people have access to this information. But what happens to those other people in the rural communities? So I think those are some of the things that are related to cancer health disparity. Yes, communication, diagnosis, treatment, management, and prevention strategy. Because for cancer care, we have basically 3 types that goes for cancer. We have the prevention. The next thing we have the diagnosis, and later we have the treatment or the management for cancer. The 3 types that the WHO defined cancer control.
I must applaud you for what we are going in for, because what you were saying, in line with what you were saying, when we used to attend meetings, we used to attend briefings on malaria, on COVID-19, and all of these vaccines that are coming up for polio and all of that. And people used to ask, at first, you people were not so, you didn't put your interest on all of this. Why the interest now? And I love the answer the lady gave, that at first they neglected it at first, but now it's a call for concern. That is why. So why not just make the system in such a way that you put everything a call for concern, so that we don't get to that level where it's really going to really get out of hand. And talking about finance in health, if you go to the regional hospital, like I said, you see those people suffering from cancer. It's like they are left there to they're just managing and waiting for them to die. But that's not the case in the Western world, I guess.
Yeah, that's not the case in the West. But we need to understand that statistics has been shown by the cancer government. That is, there is a research institute for cancer, that there is a 70% diagnosed case in cancer in Africa, and out of this 70%, in the like the treatment rate, that is the persons that are being offered treatment or have the opportunity to be treated, is about 70%, and 30%. And this 30% is very low, because in the Western world we have a 50% chances of treatment. So you now see that it's a call for concern. Why? Because these people in the Western world have these services and they are being treated, but us now in Africa, we don't have the service. We have the services, but very few.
The professionals.
Yeah, the professional assistant, like the professionals, in order for them to take care in these cancer cases, are not even available, because very few people are concerned with that. Because if you want to go to research institute, you see very few researchers are focused in cancer. Very few. Most people, like I said, in malaria and all the rest. And so many researchers have done a lot of researches in it. Like for instance, the WHO posted that there is about 19,563 cancer cases in Cameroon. And yeah, that was a work that was also conducted by Nye Work in 2023. That is about 19,564, 564 cancer cases in Cameroon, which is a call for concern, because out of these cases we are already having a disparity, like I said. So if we are having continuous increase in cancer cases and people are not venturing into that field, we now see that a continent or a country that is populated by the youth, and if these youth are not being given the services like diagnosis and screening on time, it will result to an abroad, like a significant increase again. And this is a call for concern, like I said.
Yeah. You find a lot of people. I would like us to talk about, maybe there are many types of cancer, but we'll just bring out those signs and symptoms that are very common for people to know, because from the statistics you have given, it shows we are where we are. And for now, not much attention is being given to it. So let's look at some the symptoms, so that if somebody starts seeing them, they can go to the hospital, because early diagnosis too, it helps to prevent it.
Okay, the signs are, like, first of all, we said cancer is a non-communicable disease. And when we talk about non-communicable disease, it is very hard for you to see the signs and symptoms of non-communicable diseases on time. Something like cancer, it is very difficult. It is asymptomatic. You can stay like maybe for years before after you notice that you have cancer. But for some basic forms of cancer, like we can talk about the breast cancer, it's always good for a woman to look at the tip of her breast. Like the tip of her breast, the nipple of her breast. It's always good for her, because at times it's supposed to appear soft most often, even though during pregnancy it appears hard. But most often it's good for a woman to always check the tips of her breast, because that's one of the major signs and symptoms of cancer. Because when you start having hardening of your mammary gland, like the breast, is called for concern. And a lot of people think that breast cancer is associated only to women. There are research that have shown that men also have breast cancer. Yes, the percentage is actually insignificant when compared to women. And for something like cervical cancer, you are going to have abnormal discharges that are going to be occurring at the level of the beginning stage of that cancer. And cancer has different stages, from stage 0 to stage 5. And each of these stages is associated to the level at which the cells or the tissues in the body have been affected. So before you get to stage 0, it is always advisable for women and men to go for screening. Women, you can go and do vaginal swabs where they are going to do the screening. And the screenings are supposed to be done regularly, maybe twice a year, or at the minimum once a year, in order for you to be aware, because they always say prevention is better than cure. So in order for you to prevent the disease, in order for you to cure the disease, you need to start preventing it from the beginning by going for your regular cancer checkup. Yes.
Okay, let's look at prostate cancer.
Yes.
So this one concerns men. Maybe the causes, because it's common.
Okay, prostate cancer affects men particularly at the level of the prostate gland, and like I was talking about major causes of other sorts of cancer, but prostate cancer is also related to them. But one peculiarity about prostate cancer is that when the prostate glands, or the first thing is aging, you get age is directly associated with prostate cancer, because when you're aging, your metabolism, or your basal metabolic rate cannot actually function as compared to a vibrant youth. So when there is aging, what happens is that your cells begin to to like have abnormal behavior. And also exposure. Exposure, you have a lot of men that sit in hot areas, they just open their legs like this broadly. It affects your prostate gland. It affects your prostate gland significantly. And also some research has proven that sexual intercourse improves prostate health.
I know about that one.
Yeah, like sexual intercourse.
That you have too many sex partners.
No, not having too many sex partners, but you can have your one.
And many times.
Yeah. Sex like continuous sex is going to enhance your prostate level. Yeah.
But I'm sure that percentage is not so women, because some women. Why I'm saying this is because one man had it and the wife was like, it's because of these things you have been doing and all of that. But I like the fact that you've mentioned that there are other causes, so that's not just the main cause.
No, like I never said the cause.
Some research has
proven that okay. prostate cancer, like sex, like continuous sex can actually improve prostate health. Not you having continuous sex and it's instead affecting your prostate gland.
Okay.
I think you,
I misunderstood.
Yeah, you misunderstood me. Yeah.
All right. Let's look at these factors. I know you've mentioned some of them.
Yeah.
Look at the factors that contribute to the health disparities, especially with the Western world and us here in Africa.
Okay, like the first thing is funding. We have very little funds that are allocated for cancer health research. You cannot just get a wonder like me. Yeah, I'm passionate about it. But if tomorrow I don't really have those facilities, like those finances which are going to like persuade me to actually continue into that field, at the end of the day I will change my mind, because we have a lot of persons that have started projects, but because of the fact that there was inadequate funds, they decided to deviate in other parts. Because like I said, malaria has those funds. Onchocerciasis have them. So one of the things which is major cause of this cancer health disparity is funding, because funds are not even allocated maybe for research courses to be conducted for cancer, or maybe screening centers to be built all over, maybe one screening center or two in regions in order for these persons to go for screening. Then the next thing which causes this is lack of research infrastructures, which is directly related to cancer, like to funding and lack of research infrastructures. Because one thing we need to know is that Cameroon has a very rich ecosystem. Sub-Saharan Africa has a very rich ecosystem, and all of this ecosystem consists of medicinal plants. Now, these medicinal plants have what active metabolites in them. Like we can talk about Artemisia annua. Artemisia is what is used to like produce treatment for malaria. Okay. Now, there are researchers like one researcher, Methodius, like posted an article that it has been proven that Artemisia annua has some cytotoxic, also it has some anti-cancerous property. So if we already have Artemisia in our country, like in the east region, that's where the Artemisia is mostly concentrated. If we already have this medicinal plant, what we need is just the fund and the research infrastructures in order for these researchers to harness this plant, isolate those active metabolites in them which can be used to cure cancer. But since we don't have enough funds and we don't have research centers, so people are not going to put in their interest in it. But I would just want to tell the viewers that we have a very rich terrestrial ecosystem, and this terrestrial ecosystem can help us to produce an anti-cancerous drug which is going to help to cure cancer at a very affordable rate. Because chemotherapy is very expensive. Radiotherapy is very, very expensive, and only those that are affluent can afford that. Because if you look at the annual wage of someone in Cameroon, like to go and afford cancer drugs, like this woman I talk about, like died of cervical cancer, it was because she never had the means, and also because of late diagnosis. I think it's because she was not informed. Yes, so one of the encouragement is that we should also increase our communication system. Yeah, we should also increase our communication system, because communication is also key. Then we have age associated or age association. Like when you're aging, you need to understand that there are certain things you're not supposed to do, and you need to understand that you need to do constant screening in order for you to avoid that particular disease. So you need to avoid constant screening. You need to develop the habit of constant screening, and you need to also manage the kind of food you eat, the kind of activities you indulge in, and all the rest, because those are some of the causes. Because if you have people that are aged in the community and they are aware that, okay, as I'm aging, I'm more prone to having cancer, I need to like do what, manage myself in order for me to reduce the cases, because it's also a personal contribution. You don't just wait for the government and research institutions or all the rest to start contributing to fight against cancer, but you need to start doing it at your personal level by managing yourself and managing your health in order for them, okay, there is a significant decrease, so we can manage the little proportion of cancer cases, and the disparity too is going to reduce, because we have a lot of people that are neglectful when it comes to health services or health related topics, like we are not really concerned. Because I work with an organization at the University of Boya Commonwealth, and we go mostly outside for outreach, and I would like to appreciate the regional delegate of public health, because he has been supporting our activities a lot. Like last time when we had the World Malaria Day, I'm sorry for deviating this, we are talking on health. Yeah, so I really want to appreciate him, because he supported us last, I think that was last year, 2024 April. We went to the community of Tiko, that was our second time, and we succeeded to reach out to about 800 households where we screened malaria, and these commodities were given to us for free. So we had to screen malaria cases, and we saw like we had very few persons that were positive, and they were not even aware because they were asymptomatic. And also the free drugs that were given to us, we shared it to them, and we also distributed aquatap around. So we want to commend the regional delegate of public health, and also to plead on the behalf of the community, if as like in as much as he's doing a lot for malaria, he should also consider cancer, like maybe organizing just campaigns for cancer sensitization, in order for people to be aware. Like I said, someone that is informed is going to know how to manage himself. So I want to commend him for that. And before going to the community of Tico for the World Malaria Day, I said there is a concern with the community, because at times when you go for this sensitization campaign or screening campaign, people in the community are like, I'm not interested in that, I give a fuck, and all these kind of things. Like those are the kind of terminologies give. Like one time we were going to share free aquatabs in Tico, there was this father that actually insulted us.
And they don't even have good water in Tico.
Yes.
Those are the people that really don't have good drinking water.
Yes, so it's not just a fault at the level of the government, but it's also a fault at the level of individuals, because some services are offered at times and we don't accept them. So I want to encourage people that in order for us to fight this cancer, the people need to start doing it at the individual level. If we have a sensitization campaigns that are called up, you need to endeavor to be present and be a contributor.
Thank you very much, Nevis. You have really been educating us. The topic is, before we go for our jingle break, the topic is cancer health disparities, and we have talked about what is cancer, why the disparities, the causes. We have talked a lot in this edition of the program. We are just going to go for the short jingle break, and when we come back, we are going to continue. Welcome back, televiewers. If you are just tuning in, the program you're watching is Inside the Health World, and our topic for today is cancer health disparity. A lot has been discussed on this edition of the program. Our guest is Bonnie Nevis, Master Students Biochemistry, University of Boya. You're welcome again once more to the second part of the edition of the program. All right, we'll continue with our discussion. I would like us to continue with those factors that are contributing, because you mentioned of the population not being receptive when it comes to health offers, even vaccines. It's really a problem. And cancer, like you said, is something that is not given much attention to by the states, by the government. I don't know why, reasons. But us as the community, the people, they need to take certain measures to ensure that they don't fall victim or get to a point where they will have no treatment. let's go back to those factors that are contributing to the health disparities.
Okay, like I said, I was talking about a personal level. We also have something like the diagnosis. I spoke of the diagnosis, but let me enlighten a little bit on the diagnosis. Now, when we talk about a diagnosis of cancer, like people don't get diagnosed at an early stage when it comes to cancer. And when these diagnoses are observed at very late stages, we have different kinds of cancer, and different kinds of cancer have their threshold. That is the rate at which they can impact your health or even lead to death. Like, for instance, something like lung cancer. When lung cancer is diagnosed very late, there was a student in FHS, I think it was last year or the year back, where she died of lung cancer because the signs and symptoms were there, like she was coughing continuously. And you know, when someone is coughing continuously, it's associated maybe to normal cough or like TB. So the screening was not conducted earlier. And when she went for the diagnosis, or the diagnosis to be precise, she went to Nigeria with her parents. And unfortunately, it was diagnosed that she had lung cancer. So if it's something that was done earlier, they would have been informed and they could have been a control measure. But because the diagnosis was done at a very late stage, it cost her health, and today she is not more. So I talk about diagnosis and relating it to the type of cancer. We also have some type of cancer like prostate cancer. Prostate cancer can easily be controlled. It can easily be controlled at the level of we can have some surgical procedures that can be done in order for that particular gland that has been affected can be removed permanently. We also have some skin cancer, like skin cancer also, if diagnosed earlier or if diagnosed at a late stage, can also be treated easily because that particular portion of the skin can just be scraped off, and they can do a grafting. Like yes, we can just look for another tissue and just attach it there, and it grows. So diagnosis is also concerned with disparity because people are not diagnosed at an early stage. It causes a lot of increase in these cases and also causes life. Now we talk about mortality rate. Mortality rate is also related to cancer cases because when there is an increase in mortality rate in the society, now it is going to affect a lot of individuals, and most often people are not even like informed about these things because somebody will just be in the house, is not going to be screened earlier, and he's just going to die. So the informations are not given. And when these informations are not given, maybe to healthcare services or maybe to the Ministry of Health and all the rest, that maybe this person died of cancer, now the mortality rate is actually insignificant. The state is not aware maybe of like the number of cancer cases that is happening. Automatically, maybe you give less concern to cancer and give more concern to other diseases like malaria, which the cases are being communicated most often. So I think disparity is also related to mortality rate. So the mortality rate are supposed to be communicated in order for these researchers, the state, and also stakeholders that are involved in cancer, for them to be aware that, okay, there is a significant number of persons that is affected. So since there is a significant number of persons that is affected, we need to invest more into cancer in order for us to reduce the number of death cases. So that is also one of the causes of disparity because there is no information about mortality rate. So automatically there is no information about mortality rate. So we focus on other diseases and we give less interest to cancer.
Okay. I've got a reaction. Somebody is asking, can cancer be treated?
Oh yeah, cancer can be treated, but it's not like you're going to take treatment like for malaria, which you're going to just take a dose of treatment in malaria and after 1 week you're going to feel fine. You get it. It's a procedural treatment. You don't just treat cancer instantaneously. You treat cancer, it's a continuous process. That's why there's chemotherapy. You need to go to the hospital time and again in order for, like, for instance, if it is multiple myeloma or leukemia, they are going to go through the chemotherapy stage where they are going to be given a dose of drug to you in order for it to reduce the cancer cells that are present. And we also have other type of cancer like breast cancer. That is one of the easiest form of cancer that can be treated globally, because what happens is that since it's just your mammary glands that is affected, there is a surgical procedure that is done, and that particular side of the mammary gland is being removed And I also talked about prostate cancer that can be cured as a result of surgical procedures. Then we also have a radiography that can be done. Like at the level of the skin cancer, you can go through a radiographic procedure where that particular spot is being is like screened with a high ray that is going to destroy those cancer cells, though it's going to affect, because the treatment of cancer, one of the consequences in the treatment of cancer is that it affects other cells of the body. That's why you see when people go through chemotherapy, they lost their hairs. They lost their hairs, and at times people lost their eye. I observed one woman in Canada where she had a tumor in her brain. Yeah, a tumor in her brain, that was brain cancer. And the treatment is they were supposed to remove one side of her brain, and in the course of doing that particular surgery, she had to lose a part of her eye, so she has just one eye to live with, and the other one was completely removed. So the consequences of cancer treatment is that it affects other cells. That's why you see most people don't even value the treatment too. So my major reason for venturing into cancer research, it's not to it's to use the active metabolite or to go and annex this particular plant species that are found in our ecosystem, because I believe and research has proven that this particular plant species have anti-cancerous property. And if we actually go and venture into research into that, and we discover this particular plant and we produce drugs, these drugs can be taken orally or intravenously, and it's going to have a lesser effect as compared to the already existing chemotherapeutic agents that are already in the market and radiotherapy that is already in existence.
So what needs to be done for that to be realized? I believe you people are medical students, you have your associations. Are you really pushing for this drive? Well, how do you think that people can come in? Is it the state? Is it individuals? Is it NGOs to ensure that this is realized?
Okay, like I said, it's a call for concern, and everyone has to contribute. We research institution, we have this organization, Bioventure for Global Health. Bioventure for Global Health have some personnel in UB that work with them. And Bioventure for Global Health is out to fight against cancer at the level of the Africa, and it's mostly concentrated in the sub-Saharan Africa. So what they do is that they create cancer awareness campaign, and they also seek funding for this research institution, because that's one of the highest, like from what I know and what I've been observing. And they also offer courses for free. I think they're already contributing to fighting against cancer. So I think it's a call for concern. Also, organizations need to be involved, and also research institutions need to be involved, where they are going to be promoting research oriented to cancer, in order for them to fight against these cancer cases. Now, I also spoke about the state. The state also needs to give a more. The state has been doing his job, like the state has been doing its job. It's just that I can't really remember the article that was posted regarding cancer. I think it was in 2020. It was by the Ministry of Public Health. I actually read that article, and I saw that there are a lot of improvement when it comes to cancer health issues, like giving consent to cancer health issues. Though I believe there is already work, but I think they need to input more resources in order to fight against these particular cancer cases. Now, at the individual level, the people in the society need to start thinking about like checking their family history. If your mother had breast cancer, then automatically you have higher chances, about 70% chances of having that particular cancer. Now, at the individual level too, we talk about the habit, the kind of lifestyle you live. You have a lot of girls today that are doing skincare. Anything that will make me fair, automatically I'm going to use it, but they don't know the harmful effect those things have on their body. Skin cancer is real, and it's affecting a lot of persons outside there. And also, you need to make sure you take care of your environment, because the environment is not the state coming to clean your environment for you. Microplastic leaching is real, and there are cases of cancer that has been reported to that. So what happens is that make sure you know how to manage your waste. It's not that hard to manage waste for me, because there are recycling companies outside there that need those plastics. So it's easier for you to keep those plastics at a very, you can just have a dry bag where you keep your plastic waste, and another a bag where you keep your biodegradable waste. That is going to help to reduce the rate at which microplastics are found in the environment, and it's also going to reduce cancer cases. So, and also the ultraviolet, the radiations from our phones. The radiations from our phones, because you see a lot of people just keep phones beside their head and are sleeping. And there are research that has been related to, like, when you're so much exposed to the radiations that are produced with your phone, it can affect your your genetic, like because these radiations are capable of like causing, I don't really know how I'm going to put it in simple terms, but they go and impact a particular biochemical process or physiological process in your system. And when this particular process is affected, what happens is that the cell will start behaving abnormally. The cell will start behaving abnormally, and also stress. Yeah, I know stress will appear very strange, but stress can also be associated to cancer, because when you have stress, there is this particular process in the body where reactive oxygen species are produced. Reactive oxygen species means that oxygens that are very reactive, and they can go and bind to particular sequence in your gene sequence and affect your gene sequence. So these reactive oxygen species have a lot of effect on gene mutation. They can go and cause mutations, and when this mutation has been caused or has been affected, it can now lead to poor cell division, and now cells are going to be produced abnormally. So you need to also manage your stress level. Yeah, because stress does not only cause other kind of like depression and other ways, but stress can also be associated to cancer if depth research is understood on the reactive oxygen species procedure.
All right, Nevis, we are rounding up. I'll just want you to use the last part of this edition to talk to the viewers, to talk to the population. If you said cancer in 2050 is going to really increase, and much attention is not being given to it.
Okay. So to the viewers, as a young Cameroonian and as an aspiring researcher in the future, I just want to encourage you guys that cancer is real. It's not just a theory, but it's something that is real. And we all have a role to play. We don't just need to wait on the government and funds to be put into place, but we all have a role to play by educating our neighbors. Yes. What about those people that are found in the rural areas that are not informed? And also health organizations, because we have a lot of health organizations in Boya and also in Cameroon. You are all encouraged. I think cancer is going. The World Cancer Day is going to be commemorated this year. You are all encouraged to invest a lot and more resources in order to educate the public about this cancer, and also make them to understand that cancer can be cured if diagnosed earlier, or can be managed or controlled if diagnosed earlier. It is a call for concern. And also to the state, we know you've been doing a lot, but we're just pleading if you could invest or input more resources for cancer research to actually be of standard or meet up with standards of the Western world, because we have the resources, we have the natural resources, and we are just waiting for the finance and the research centers in order for us to produce those drugs that can lead us at the global level. Why not Cameroon being the first country to discover one of the first treatment for cancer that is going to be sold at an affordable price and everyone can afford it?
That would really be good. All right, thank you for coming to the program. I must say you've educated us much. Now at this stage you're talking like this. In future, when you're already a researcher, I believe Cameroon is really going to benefit from it.
Definitely. I have a strong bond for my country. I know a lot of people like the system is hard, the system is forced, but I think it's mentality. Yeah, your mentality counts a lot. In as much as the system is hard, you need to try to make a difference. Yeah, there is no place in the world that is easy. It's just about you having a mindset, a robust mindset of saying that, okay, I want to see change. And change is not a spontaneous or an instantaneous process. It's something that takes time. In as much as those facilities are not available now, I believe in the nearest future they are going to be available. That is why they say, I have hope. I have hope, and I believe that I'm going to be capable of working in future and creating impact at the national level, Africa, and global level. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Nevis. Thank you very much, our televiewers, for watching the program. We have come to the end of this edition. Join us again next week for another edition, and stay tuned to High Television.